There are moments in life that at first glance appear utterly mundane, yet in hindsight, you come to understand that was precisely when it all started to unravel. Benjamin, now 61, carried a warmth that seemed to envelop those he held dear, yet there lingered an unspoken weight in his kindness, a complexity that made one wonder about the depths of his heart. When he extended the invitation to his cherished nephew Alexander to come and stay with us, I found myself grappling with an unsettling sense of uncertainty about the profound shift that was about to unfold in my life. Benjamin's serious expression haunts me as I recall his words. "Isabella, Alexander is a sensitive boy. It's clear that he struggles to find peace when the darkness falls. Please, just make sure you look after him, all right? He really needs to sort himself out before stepping into university life." But how was I supposed to anticipate that the call about the house we had longed for would actually come, and that Benjamin would depart for 3 days to explore it, leaving me here alone with Alexander? At 20 years old, Alexander had crossed a threshold, leaving behind the innocence of boyhood. His imposing stature, wide shoulders, and seasoned look conveyed an unmistakable message. Yet to Benjamin, he remained merely his little nephew. For me, there was always an odd warmth and a subtle thrill that lingered in the air whenever Alexander was near. Despite my efforts to push it away, there was an undeniable quality to our exchanges that lingered in the air. Yet, the idea of spending 3 days alone with him stirred a mix of anticipation and unease within me. As Benjamin slid into the car, he cast a lingering glance back at me, a moment heavy with unspoken words. "In just 3 days, everything will change," he said, his voice laced with uncertainty. Yet, I had no idea that those 3 days would unravel everything I thought I knew. Alexander approached me with a measured pace, his fingers fidgeting with the strap of his bag, a subtle tension hanging in the air between us. As our gazes locked, he offered me that familiar smile, playful yet genuine, a blend of emotions that lingered in the air between us. "It seems we're alone together now," he remarked, his tone seemingly calm yet layered with an intensity that lingered in the air. In that instant, an unsettling thrill coursed through me. Alexander had transformed, evolving into someone more complex. Yet to be in solitude with him, this felt completely unlike anything else. What unfolded that night was beyond anything I could have anticipated. Yet amidst the shadows of that night, a lingering uncertainty remains, etching itself into my memory in ways I cannot fully grasp. That was the moment everything started to unravel. And that's where our tale begins, shrouded in uncertainty. Prepare yourself, for this is a story that will leave you questioning everything. As the morning light crept into the house, I found myself lost in the act of preparing breakfast in the kitchen, a sense of unease hanging in the air. Once Benjamin departed, an unsettling stillness enveloped the house, leaving an eerie sense of calm in its wake. Yet the stillness was fleeting. The faint sound of footsteps echoed on the stairs, a clear indication that Alexander was stirring from his slumber. He stood in the doorway, clad in a casual t-shirt, his hair tousled, leaving an unsettling impression that lingered in the air. He appeared inviting yet undeniably captivating, leaving an impression that lingered in the air. "Good morning, Isabella," he said, his voice laced with an unspoken weight. His gaze locked onto mine, a subtle smile flickering at the corners of his mouth. The aroma in this space is truly captivating. "What exactly are you creating?" Before I could gather my thoughts, he stepped closer, his hand brushing against my waist as he leaned in just a bit. "It smells incredible," he remarked, his voice carrying a hint of playfulness. Yet there was an undeniable warmth beneath it. The sudden brush against my skin caught me off guard, yet it stirred something within me that was oddly not unwelcome. It felt oddly familiar, yet unsettling. "Just a classic breakfast," I managed to say, forcing my voice to remain steady despite the quiver beneath the surface. "Are you sure you want this?" "I'll eat whatever you make," he said, his gaze lingering on me, searching for something unspoken. In that moment, it seemed as though he was somewhere far beyond the confines of the kitchen. His gaze was unwavering, piercing through the air between us, leaving an unsettling tension that felt almost palpable. As we settled at the breakfast table, an unspoken tension hung in the air, making the distance between us feel almost negligible. Alexander spoke in his usual laid-back manner, yet an unsettling undertone lingered in his words this time.
You know, Isabella, there's something about you that's striking, especially considering your age,
He remarked, his voice hanging in the air. His words struck me with an intensity that left me momentarily frozen, forcing me to place my fork down on the table. Honestly, you stand out so much when you're with my uncle. Alexander, you really shouldn't say things like that, I replied, a soft laugh escaping my lips, even as a warmth crept across my cheeks. I appreciate your perspective, but it seems like you might be stretching the truth just a bit. I'm not exaggerating, he said, his gaze lingering on me with an intensity that felt almost palpable. If I found myself in my uncle's position, I couldn't bear to let you out of my sight, not even for a moment. I found myself struggling to articulate my thoughts. Feeling the weight of the moment, I abruptly rose to my feet, my hands instinctively reaching for the empty plates scattered around. Alexander reclined in his chair, his eyes fixed intently on me. His gaze lingered on every subtle shift I made, a weighty scrutiny that sent my heart into a frantic rhythm. We should celebrate, he said, his voice slicing through the stillness like a knife. My uncle mentioned that you're in the process of purchasing the house. It feels almost wrong to let that go unacknowledged. It's still up in the air, I responded, a fleeting, involuntary smile flickering at the corners of my mouth. But I suppose we can find a way to celebrate. How about we spend the evening together, just the two of us, he suggested, his voice carrying an unspoken weight. Text. It might be a good idea to put on something a bit more polished, don't you think? We'll capture some moments and share them with Uncle. We'll make it clear that he shouldn't return until the house is purchased. We've begun to celebrate, but there's an undercurrent of uncertainty that lingers in the air. How do you really feel about this? Alexander, I hope you understand, but I find myself in a difficult position. I lingered, caught in a web of uncertainty. Don't hesitate, he urged, his voice a mix of warmth and insistence. You're at a stage in life where your figure is truly remarkable. Put on one of those old dresses from your past, the ones that hold so many memories. Honestly, I find myself wondering how you would appear in one. Before this narrative unfolds into something even more complex, I urge you to subscribe to my channel and activate notifications for what lies ahead. As the narrative unfolds to its conclusion, remember to express your feelings through likes and comments, letting your presence be known. It holds an immense significance for me. His words left me reeling, a sudden twist in the air that I wasn't prepared for. Yet, with Alexander's unwavering and earnest stare fixed on me, I found myself unable to utter anything beyond, "All right, we'll see tonight." Alexander's smile lingered, a flicker of uncertainty beneath the surface. "It will be flawless, Isabella," he insisted. A flicker in his gaze suggested a night shrouded in uncertainty, charged with unspoken feelings. Benjamin's words about caring for Alexander lingered in my thoughts, stirring a mix of uncertainty and unease. "He's a boy with deep feelings, Isabella," he had remarked. "Please ensure he is well looked after. He really should find a way to pull himself together before stepping into college." Yet, Alexander's actions this morning seemed to contradict Benjamin's portrayal of him as a sensitive child. His demeanor was so carefree, playful, and audacious. His energy enveloped me in a swirl of confusion and an unsettling thrill. His suggestion of celebrating tonight hung in the air, stirring a mix of uncertainty and anticipation within me. Initially, it seemed pointless, yet I came to understand that disappointing him was not an option. Perhaps he genuinely warranted a form of attention that was unlike any other. I made Alexander's favorite dishes, chicken curry, creamy pasta, and a fresh herb salad. I hoped he would appreciate them, but there was a lingering uncertainty in the air. I included a bit of garlic bread alongside it. As the food simmered, I ascended the stairs, my mind racing as I sifted through my clothes, searching for the right outfit. In the depths of my wardrobe, I stumbled upon a green dress, untouched for years, stirring a whirlwind of memories and emotions within me. As I slipped it on, I found myself staring at my reflection in the mirror, a swirl of thoughts and feelings rising within me. As I slipped into the dress, a wave of uncertainty washed over me. Had I truly maintained myself well enough for it to still fit? The thought lingered, heavy with unspoken emotions. Yet it seems somewhat excessively daring. As I descended the stairs, I found Alexander waiting in the living room, an unspoken tension hanging in the air. He wore a white shirt, and I found it impossible to overlook how his gaze seemed to hold on to me, heavy with unspoken thoughts.
"That dress looks absolutely stunning on you,"
he said, his voice laced with an intensity that hinted at deeper feelings. A warmth crept to my cheeks, an undeniable sensation stirring within me. "Thank you, Alexander." "Your appearance is quite striking," I responded. He offered a smile, his hand reaching out to pull a chair away from the table, inviting me to take a seat. Our conversation at dinner lingered in the air, filled with unspoken tension. Alexander was witty and sincere, yet the intensity of his gaze, lingering just a moment too long, stirred a mix of discomfort and an unexpected sense of flattery within me. An unsettling sensation lingered in the atmosphere. This evening held an unsettling promise, one that felt far from ordinary. As Alexander sat at the table, he leaned in just a bit, his voice low and filled with a weight that lingered in the air. "Thank you for tonight, Isabella."
It was something, wasn't it?
"Everything is incredible, yet I sense there's potential for something greater, something more thrilling," he remarked. His gaze pierced through me, and in that moment, an indescribable weight hung between us. Is there a sense of yearning? Is it truly a desire? His words and tone enveloped me in confusion, leaving me grappling with how to react. The warmth crept up to my cheeks, and I struggled to maintain a shaky smile. Seeing the tension in my demeanor, Alexander offered a grin, trying to ease the heavy atmosphere. Out of nowhere, he suggested, "Let's call Uncle," as he fumbled with his phone. Before I could gather my thoughts, he appeared behind my chair, his hands hovering delicately on my shoulders. His touch ignited something within me, a tremor that quickened my heartbeat, leaving me breathless and uncertain. His breath, hovering near my ear, felt almost palpable. As Benjamin's face flickered onto the screen, Alexander's voice surged with an energy that felt almost forced, a stark contrast to the tension hanging in the air. "Uncle, we've begun the celebration," he murmured, a hint of uncertainty in his voice. He directed the camera towards the table, revealing the intricately arranged meal, each detail seemingly laden with unspoken significance. In that moment, it struck me that I was part of the scene as well, with Alexander looming just behind me, his hands resting on my shoulders, his face uncomfortably near to mine. Benjamin's laughter echoed, a mixture of joy and something unspoken lingering in the air. "So, are you suggesting that I should stay away until I've secured the house? Is that it?"
"Exactly,"
Alexander replied, his voice low as he leaned in just a little closer to me. His fingers grazed my shoulders, a fleeting touch that sent a shiver through me. I felt the urge to distance myself from the camera, yet the thought of disrupting Benjamin's joy held me back.
Okay,
Benjamin said, a nervous chuckle escaping his lips. "I'll take a look at the house and return as quickly as possible. I see you both are having a good time." As Alexander ended the call, I exhaled slowly, yet the tempest of feelings within me remained unyielding. I reflected on Alexander's past visits, recalling how he always carried an air of playful mischief, mixed with an undeniable charm. Yet, there was something unsettling about him this time. His boldness and charm were undeniably captivating, evoking emotions within me that felt both confusing and intense. I couldn't help but draw parallels between this and my relationship with Benjamin. How much time had passed since he truly looked at me, focused on me? Recently, it seems as though all his attention is consumed by work, and I can't shake the feeling of being overlooked. In that fleeting moment of Alexander's gaze, a wave of longing washed over me, stirring emotions I had buried deep within. The ache of yearning to be desired, to be truly seen, and to feel vibrantly alive surged through me, leaving me both vulnerable and exposed. Engulfed in my swirling thoughts, I was caught off guard when Alexander quietly rose and slipped into the shadowy corner of the living room. He linked his phone to the speaker, and a gentle, romantic melody began to fill the air, stirring something deep within. In the dim light, I observed him turning back to me, his expression a mix of calmness and an underlying resolve. As he moved in, his hand reached out toward me, the air thick with unspoken tension.
Isabella, might you consider dancing with me?
His voice carried a softness that belied its compelling nature. His request took me by surprise, and I felt my heart racing in my chest. "Alexander, is that really what you mean?" I inquired, my voice scarcely rising above a murmur. He smiled, his hand inching closer, a silent tension hanging in the air.
"I have no doubt. It's merely a dance, Isabella. Do you really believe we should allow ourselves some enjoyment this evening?"
In that instant, the chaos swirling in my thoughts and the unrest within my heart transformed into an entirely new sensation. There was something about Alexander's outstretched hand that drew me in, an undeniable pull I couldn't ignore. As I placed my hand in his, an electric tension surged through me the instant his warmth met my skin. Alexander led me cautiously to the heart of the living room, an unspoken tension hanging in the air. One hand lingered on my waist, the other gently clasping mine, creating a moment thick with unspoken tension. Then he extinguished the lights, leaving behind only the uncertain flicker of the candles he had set on the table. The soft glow flickered throughout the space, creating an unsettling yet captivating ambiance that lingered in the air. The music video flickering on the TV created a pulsating atmosphere, drawing us deeper into the unfolding scene. We started to move together, the air thick with unspoken words. Alexander's grip on my waist grew firmer, and I could sense my heart racing with each step we took. As I tilted my head to catch his eye, I found his gaze fixed on me, brimming with an intensity that was both unsettling and compelling. That look, it pierced through layers I didn't know existed, leaving me trembling and exposed. As we drew closer, the distance that once separated us felt like it was dissolving into nothingness. Alexander's face inched nearer, his breath lingering on my skin, creating an unsettling tension between us. The proximity heightened the unspoken tension that lingered between us. In that moment, every ounce of resistance I believed I possessed shattered completely. As we swayed to the music, Alexander leaned down slightly, his voice a delicate murmur brushing against my ear, stirring something deep within me.
"Your youthful spirit and longing are palpable, Isabella."
"Your eyes reveal a longing, a deep desire to break free from this endless cycle, if only for a fleeting moment. Yet you seem unaware that the yearning of that young woman within you pulses through your very being, preserving your youth in an unending cycle." His tone was soft, yet it carried a weight that pierced deep within me. His words stirred a tumult of conflicting emotions within me, leaving me both exhilarated and unsettled. My heart pounded in my chest, and each breath came faster than the last. I struggled against the feelings he was stirring within me, but it felt like I was succumbing. "Alexander, what is happening between us? Your words are unearthing feelings I've desperately tried to keep hidden." "Please don't," I whispered, my voice quivering, almost lost in the air. Yet I found myself unable to refute it. I felt a deep need to uncover the truth he alluded to. Alexander lingered, his gaze piercing through the silence, searching my soul. "Yet there exists a truth about you that you remain unaware of," he murmured, his tone calm yet heavy with significance. My gaze, seemingly against my will, remained locked onto his. "What is the truth, Alexander?" "Share with me," I urged. My voice trembled as the unbearable strain between us intensified. Alexander's gaze remained fixed, unwavering, as if he were searching for something hidden beneath the surface. "Isabella, there's something about you that draws me in. My feelings for you run deep. Yet the underlying reality is that you can no longer hold back these emotions. You've isolated yourself for what feels like an eternity, concealing the turmoil that brews beneath the surface."
"But it's time to stop,"
he said, his voice laced with an intensity that hinted at deeper feelings. His words ignited a tempest within me. I found myself at a loss for words. My lips parted slightly, yet silence enveloped me, heavy and unyielding. My breath caught in my throat, and all I could manage was to ask, "Alexander, how?" My voice barely broke the silence, lingering in the air like a fragile secret. Still, I found it impossible to ignore the emotions that were overwhelming me. In that moment, a wave of fear washed over me, yet an intense yearning stirred within, urging me to hold on to the fleeting seconds that seemed to stretch endlessly. Alexander's gaze lingered on me, heavy with unspoken thoughts, the silence stretching between us like a taut wire. Then, suddenly, he stepped in closer. In a heartbeat, his expression bridged the distance that lingered between us. As his lips met mine, an intense heat surged through me, leaving me breathless and uncertain. The kiss lingered in the air, charged with an intensity that hinted at unspoken feelings, a culmination of everything that had been held back for what felt like an eternity. My heart raced intensely, as if it were on the verge of breaking free from my chest. And yet, as I kissed him back, I found myself yielding entirely, allowing the flames to engulf me. Alexander momentarily parted his lips, his breath coming in heavy gasps as he leaned closer, whispering, "Just like that, I sensed your attraction to me." His words held a weight that enveloped me, and as he kissed me once more, the idea of pushing him away felt utterly foreign. This time, the kiss lingered, charged with an intensity that felt almost overwhelming. My body drew nearer to him, fingers clutching his shoulders as if seeking stability in the uncertainty of the moment. His boldness and determination left me feeling a whirlwind of emotions, caught in the enchanting spell of the moment. Yes, I can no longer hide from the truth. I have finally confessed. My voice was barely a whisper, yet it intensified the unspoken tension that hung in the air between us. Regardless of the consequences, I yearned to feel it all. My hands moved almost reflexively to the straps of my dress, tugging them down in a sudden, decisive gesture. The silk dress slipped away from my body, cascading down to gather in a delicate heap at my feet. There was a flicker of surprise and admiration in Alexander's eyes as he absorbed the scene before him. I met his bewildered stare with a subtle smile and remarked, "Didn't you mention that you preferred things to progress swiftly, Alexander?" Alexander stood still, his gaze locked onto mine, an unspoken tension hanging in the air. His expression was a complex tapestry of unexpected emotions, revealing a deep longing beneath the surface. "Isabella," he whispered, but just as the words began to form, his hands unexpectedly gripped my waist. In that moment, an unspoken understanding hung between us, heavy and undeniable, as if we were teetering on the edge of something irrevocable. The tension between us was undeniable, a force that felt impossible to ignore. Alexander's hands gripped my waist with a mix of certainty and hesitation, leading me slowly toward the couch. The romantic music lingered in the background, while the dim light cast an alluring shadow over the atmosphere thick with unspoken tension. My heart raced, caught in a whirlwind of uncertainty, yet I found myself yielding entirely to the experience. As Alexander hesitated, he peeled off his shirt, allowing it to fall softly to the floor beside my dress, the air thick with unspoken tension. In that instant, all the walls that once stood between us crumbled away, leaving nothing but raw vulnerability. As I reclined on the couch, Alexander hovered above me, his actions measured yet unhurried, creating an atmosphere thick with unspoken tension. He positioned himself with deliberate care, his knees framing me, eliminating any space that remained between us. Our breaths mingled, so near that I could sense each soft exhale. My gaze was ensnared by his, captivated by the intense longing and fierce resolve that flickered in their depths. His warmth and presence infiltrated every corner of my being. As his breath grazed my neck, a shiver of anticipation coursed through me. "Are you truly prepared?" he murmured, his voice thick with unspoken tension. His gaze pierced through me, a mix of yearning and conviction, as if he were marking the start of an irreversible journey. My lips slightly parted, and I struggled to steady my breath while gazing at him. My heart raced uncontrollably, my thoughts scattered in every direction. Yet I found myself completely captivated by the overwhelming intensity of the moment. "Yeah," I whispered, my voice trembling with barely contained excitement. In that moment, a stirring within me signaled a profound shift, an undeniable truth that everything was about to transform, leaving no path for retreat. Alexander's moves quickened, each one charged with an unsettling energy. In that moment, I couldn't shake the feeling that he preferred to keep things brief. As everything began to accelerate, my body seemed to respond instinctively, almost as if it had a mind of its own. My legs, which I had nearly pushed from my mind, began to shake and tighten, and then Alexander's gaze met mine. Text. "I appreciate the speed of this," he remarked, a smile flickering across his face. In that moment, he leaned closer, his fingers brushing through my hair, a gesture that felt both intimate and uncertain. As the last notes faded away and a new rhythm surged forth, a rush of anticipation coursed through me, intensifying my emotions. Alexander was soaked in sweat, and I found myself in the same state. It was as if I had been transported back to the age of 25. Stirring a whirlwind of memories and emotions within me, the deeper I delved into my memories of youth, the more intense my emotions became. Alexander pressed on, his pace relentless, an unyielding force that seemed to carry an unspoken weight. He approached with a softness that felt almost instinctual, as if he possessed an unspoken understanding of my unvoiced desires. In that moment, he paused, and we exchanged our positions. I found myself positioned above, gazing directly into Alexander's eyes. I quickened my pace. Alexander was gasping for breath, his voice quivering as he confessed, "I'm even more in awe of your energy right now." And then his entire body trembled, and he finally surrendered to the moment. I extended my hand, fingers trembling as I grasped his. "Come on," I murmured softly, my voice barely breaking the silence. "Shall we retreat to the bed now?" Alexander rose with a deliberate slowness, each step heavy with unspoken thoughts as he walked beside me toward the bedroom. As we entered that dimly lit space, the flickering candlelight cast shadows that seemed to envelop us, creating an atmosphere thick with unspoken tension and an unsettling sense of tranquility. We found ourselves lying together on the bed, the air thick with unspoken words. Alexander's arm encircled my waist, drawing me in with an intensity that left me breathless. I leaned against him, feeling the rhythmic pulse of his heartbeat beneath my ear, a sound that both comforted and unsettled me. In that moment, everything else seemed to fade into the distance, almost as if it were a distant memory. What mattered most to me was the unsettling yet profound sense of being right there beside him. As my eyelids grew heavy, a whirlwind of thoughts consumed me, fixating on the uncertain possibility of Benjamin's return. There are still 2 more days ahead, just Alexander and me, and the weight of that feels heavy. The thought ignited a flame within me, yet it also unleashed a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Yet, I found myself hesitant to disrupt the enchantment of this fleeting moment. I inhaled deeply, letting the air fill my lungs, and then I shut my eyes, seeking solace in the darkness. It seemed as if everything else faded away, leaving just this fleeting moment, heavy with significance. I feel an overwhelming urge to share the experiences of those other 2 days, yet at this very moment, I find myself wanting to fully immerse in what we have right now. You should really stay for what comes next, as this tale is far from over. Keep your eyes open. If you've reached this point, it's clear that my stories resonate with you on a profound level. There's an overwhelming depth to what's left unsaid, and you really can't afford to overlook any of it. Make sure to hit that follow button, activate notifications, and share your thoughts on this story.